Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Severus Snape and the Marauders panel. Woo! Hopefully you're in the right place. We are a Harry Potter fan film. We started campaigning on Kickstarter about 2 years ago, and we made money for our film. And we finished filming last year in February. And actually, NerdCon was our very first convention to promote the film.
Happy to be
last
back.
year.
Yeah!
So we're pretty stoked to be back here. And I just wanted to introduce you to everybody that was involved in the film. My name is Liana Minassian. I was the producer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justin Zagri, and I am the writer-director.
I'm Nick Ignis, and I'm Severus Snape.
I'm Kevin Allen. I play young Sirius Black.
I'm Danny J. I play Lily Evans.
And I'm Zachary David, and I was Peter Pettigrew.
If you couldn't tell. So, if you guys never saw our film before, we premiered it on YouTube March 1st, and we got a really good reception. We got worldwide media coverage, BBC, MTV, Entertainment Weekly, so we were really stoked about that. And now I just want to talk to the actors as well as Justin a little bit about how they got into character, and also for Justin, ask him about his inspiration for making the film. So guys, the actors, let's start with, who's at the end? Zach. So, what was your process for getting into the character of Peter Pettigrew?
With getting into Peter it's not a fun thing to do because he's kind of the top 3 most disliked characters in all of Harry Potter. But I don't know. I was excited to get to see a different side of him before he did the horrible things he did. So for me, getting a character is I did everything I could to try to find something new, and not just the cowardice that we all know is part of him, and see what it might have been like when he was a little more innocent. So I would always try to think of something positive, even before like the darker things I did in the scenes, and so that was just what I did. I got a positive spin thinking about Peter before bringing it all out there. Bringing it up.
Okay.
Converse.
Hello.
Lights out. Lights out. Ooh, back on. Conversely, where Zach was trying to find the positives in Peter, I was kind of not so much trying to find the negatives in Lily, but trying to bring her to more of a realistic tone. She's often portrayed as being perfect and having nothing wrong with her and just love, which is true. That's great. Good qualities. I was trying to figure out who she was as a real person, though, and figure out where she came from. What was her life like growing up? What were her struggles? And what were the things inside her that kind of make her tick and make her come to the conclusions that she does, especially when it comes to friends, romance, things like that. So she was really a great puzzle that I feel like hasn't fully been discovered yet. So for me, it was a really great uncovering, like making a quilt that hasn't been shown to the public yet. So it was a really fun adventure for me.
Mick gave me his, and I don't want to be rude. Thank you.
It would be very rude.
Yeah. Okay. So for Sirius Black, I had seen an interview where someone asked J.K. Rowling, I think it was filming Prisoner of Azkaban, like, of all the characters you've seen these amazing actors portray, who's really getting it like you imagined when you were writing the books? And she said Gary Oldman, and I had to go, well, I can't deny J.K. Rowling, so I guess I'll start by trying to imitate one of the greatest living actors of our time. So I started with a foundation of imitating Gary Oldman's characteristics, the way he spoke, his mannerisms, the things that brought that character to life. But keeping in mind, before Azkaban, he was probably a different person, or so I thought. But then I stumbled across this Tumblr post that pointed out that Sirius had spent more time in Azkaban than he did with James. And something about that was a real epiphany for me. And then I realized that he was a case of Arrested Development, that the first thing he does when he gets out of Azkaban is he goes to track down all his buddies. He finds Remus, he finds Peter, and he finds James in Harry. So I feel like Sirius, as you see in the books and the movies, it kind of picked up where he left off. So I try to look at Ron's relationship to Harry and Sirius to James, and Harry's relationship to the school as far as Sirius not fitting in with his family and loving being a Gryffindor at Hogwarts. I threw a little bit of John Lennon just to kind of like fill in the gaps because I thought that'd be fun, and tried to build this character from the ground up. And I don't know. How about you, Mick?
Well, when I was trying to be Sirius Black, my character.
other
Okay.
one.
The unique and fun challenge with playing Snape in this film was that, Alan Rickman, who created such an amazing, iconic performance in those films, everything that made that character who he was, this sort of cold, calculating, isolated character who had all these built-up layers that are unveiled throughout the books, everything about him is kind of a direct reflection of what happened to him after the events of this film. Losing Lily, his descent into the Death Eaters, his dealings with Dumbledore. So a lot of what made his character that we know him as an adult is after the events that we find here. So for me, I kind of have to forget all of that. I have to almost start with a blank slate at that point and only think about what this character was before all these events that shaped him took place. So it was going back and figuring out who this person was in his youth, finding the same sort of he had this isolated sort of loner aspect to him, but was also brilliant at what he did, very intellectual, also very much an outsider. So he had a rebellious, somewhat arrogant nature to him, but also this sort of a lot of conflicting demons that he was dealing with at the same time as well. He is a dark mirror to James in a lot of ways. They both have an extreme amount of ego, an extreme amount of arrogance, but very much believe in the gifts that they have. For him, it's his intelligence, his brilliance with his creation of spells and his, excelling at magic skills. And for James, it's a lot more of this social leadership quality to him, and they balance each other out in that aspect. So a lot of it was looking at who he was at this time, his relationships with James, and how he connects with these other characters we find in the film.
And so the inspiration for making Snape the Marauders was I wasn't ready yet to make a feature film, so I wanted to keep making shorts until I felt like I had a feature film that I would be ready to make. And I knew I wanted those shorts to be seen, and thousands of shorts every year are made, and they just get lost in the dilution of filmmakers. So I wanted to make a fan film because fan films get noticed more, and I had a lot of fandoms to go on, and I love Harry Potter, but also there wasn't a lot of Harry Potter fan films around. So I made a fan film called The Greater Good, which is about Dumbledore and Grindelwald when they were teenagers. And that got a lot more attention than I thought. I was going for like 200,000 views, and it's sitting at 4.5 million views. So it gained a fan base, and I said, well, I'm proud of what I did with Greater Good, but it was off of budget, out of pocket of like nothing, $1,500 total.
It was also enough to convince all of us that he knew what he was doing. So,
thank you. What I decided to do is I decided to open up a poll and ask people off a range of subjects of popular Harry Potter lore, what would you like to see? And it was like the Founders, young Voldemort, and the Marauders, and it was overwhelmingly polled as the Marauders. So I reread the books, and there was a great passage in The Order of the Phoenix when Harry confronts Sirius and Remus, asking them about his dad because he saw Snape's worst memory and saw how mean he was, and that was a very different person than all the other people in Hogwarts told him what his dad was like. So he was kind of feeling lost and wanted to know more about him, and it got a lot into the relationship between Snape and James. And I said, that's it. I want to talk about a story between these two, and I want it to be outside of school, and I want them to have a final confrontation, and what would that be like? So that was the inspiration for Snape and the Marauders.
Okay, thank you guys. We just want to open it up to questions from the audience. If anyone has a question, come right here up to the stage and ask away.
So of those other potential topics that you mentioned that didn't necessarily win the poll, but that you had considered making a short film for, do you plan to make more Harry Potter fan films, or is this going to be it for the time being?
This is the last big budget Harry Potter fan film I ever make because Warner Brothers explicitly will not allow me to raise money anymore. So they did not say I had to stop telling stories. So what I'm doing right now is I'm writing a 12-part miniseries that continues the story right after Severus Snape and the Marauders, and goes into the Wizarding War, and chronicles James's rise and Snape's fall. Because the way I saw it, when Snape confronts Voldemort at the end of the movie, you don't say no to Voldemort when he wants you to do something. But it doesn't mean that Snape was fully 100% emotionally into being a Death Eater. So we go into how that happened, and we go into how James and the Marauders become Order of the Phoenix members. And we're going to do that as a radio play.
Thank you.
Go.
Hi, my name's Nico.
Hi, Nico.
I have a question to ask you all. What is your favorite character from the Harry Potter movies and your favorite spell?
Dumbledore and Sectum Sempra.
Cool.
Wow, that got dark really fast. Your favorite spell is the one that cuts people up?
It's awesome.
Harsh.
It's so cool.
Snape was definitely one of my favorite characters. I'm not just saying that because I got to play him, but that's one of the reasons I was so happy I got to play him, was because he was one of my favorite characters. Second favorite was definitely Lupin. I was a huge fan of Lupin. I loved all the layers to his character, the fact that he was one of the best role models in the book, but also had the most burden put on top of his shoulders of everything he had to deal with. So this was somebody who was overcoming this horrible curse, and despite the fact that he turns into a literal monster, is one of the few people in the books that's actually like the only one that I would really trust to raise Harry, and the one who I kind of wish that he would have been the one to help him along if he was capable of doing so. So I loved Lupin. I thought he was a fantastic character.
Awesome.
Spells wise, I love spells. I love potions. I love all the transfiguration spells and just the ability to change one thing into another. I think that's really neat.
Just real quick, the reason why I love Dumbledore is because he's so mysterious, and Snape is so mysterious. It's just Dumbledore was mysterious in a caring, compassionate way, but there was something way more to them, and their reveal at the end of book 7 for both characters was enormously satisfying, so that's why they were my favorite characters.
My favorite character is the tag team of Fred and George. Enough said. My favorite spell, that's a really good question. The one I would probably use the most is Aguamenti. I realize I just had lost my water bottle, so I would be using that all the time.
Yeah, cool.
My favorite character is good old Hermione Granger.
Yeah.
She's got the smarts, she's got the charm, she's got everything that I wanted to be as a kid. Like all the nuts and bolts, I feel like, that make you an excellent adult. You're equipped to handle the world. And she's also an excellent everything. I mean, she pretty much gets the boys out of all their trouble.
She can't see in the future, though.
No,
She's not a good divination.
Minor details. Which is why
Despite any Deus Ex Machina time turners or anything like that, but we're not going to talk about time turners.
Yeah, time. I have a time turner. It
And
works.
there is a new time turner in the Harry Potter Curse of Child.
I'm aware.
Zach, what's your favorite spell and character?
No.
Oh, she didn't get her spell off.
Legitimum.
Yeah, read people minds. My favorite character, Neville Longbottom, is just my bro. I can relate hard. So I just love that he grows from the struggle of being just the worst to being awesome. So kudos to that. I love the character for that reason. Spell wise, I'm lazy as can be, so I would Accio everything to myself. Stay in bed all day and get what I need. Yes.
Thank you.
Whose favorite character is Harry Potter? Very few people. It's so funny. And Liana, who's your favorite character and your favorite spell?
I'm also a Hermione Granger fan. What? Yeah. And spell-wise, I would say Levi Corpus. I want to make people levitate. That's pretty cool.
My favorite character is Cedric Diggory.
Nice.
Hufflepuff.
Nice.
And
The pride of Hufflepuff.
Remus, my favorite character is Nifendora Tonks. Your
Oh yeah, Tonks.
girlfriend.
Tonks.
Nice.
Tonks.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We got
We
one.
got one right here.
Hi, Fiona.
Could you tell us all of your guys' houses?
Gryffindor.
Ravenclaw with a little bit leaning of Slytherin.
Ravenclaw, the Slytherin.
I got Badger swag. yeah.
Pause up.
You know Gryffindor.
Slytherin.
Any more questions?
What's up, Rob?
So you mentioned when you made the short film, you made it because you felt like you weren't ready to make a feature yet.
Yeah.
What sort of things did you learn by making this film? And do you think after doing this, you're prepared to start doing a feature? And if so, do you have any ideas of what that might be?
Good question, Rob.
It's called a segue, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I am prepared to make a feature film, and I am. What I learned from this is how to tackle enormous responsibility, because there were a lot of problems with getting this film made, and they were all logistical or acts of God, and we had to just deal with it and find ways to fix the problems. None of the crew or cast had any emotional issues that you sometimes hear about with Hollywood. Everyone was on the same page. We were all here to tell the same story, and just about all of us were passionate Harry Potter fans. That was not the problem. The problem was the last day of shooting was torrential downpour in LA when it never rains. So I had to learn how to shoot around that and make sure that I got what I needed, but I had to cut off a lot of shots that I didn't need, but I wanted. I had to time manage.
One got corrupted, right?
Huh?
One of the films or shots got corrupted, right?
Yeah, several shots got corrupted. Only one take when James was down on the ground as Snape was monologuing at him survived. So if we didn't have that, we'd have to reshoot, and we didn't have the money to do that. This wasn't one of those, let's get everyone together and do things for free things. This was like a fully paid crew and a fully paid set, fully insured, with a giant crane that like was 50 feet in the air. No, we couldn't do it again. So working under pressure is what I learned the most from this. And I am absolutely ready to do a feature film. I have a script. It's called Transcend. It is a sci-fi romance about multiverses.
It's really cool.
There's Harry Potter references in it too.
There are Harry Potter references in it.
What's your favorite book in the series?
Goblet of Fire, by far.
Order of the Phoenix is the book, but Prisoner of Azkaban is the movie.
Order of the Phoenix for the movie. It was just David Yates took it to the level that it needed to go.
Yeah, Order of the Phoenix is my favorite book. That was the one that like just got to me the most, mostly because I was just like so mad at Umbridge and I was so happy for Fred and George. Movie, since we're all answering, I think is Goblet of Fire. That was kind of the one that really got me into the world of Harry Potter.
Favorite book for me was Order of the Phoenix. To me, that's again when things kind of came together. And favorite movie for me, you didn't even ask, but we're giving this to you. Prisoner of Azkaban.
Across the board, I'd have to say Goblet of Fire, and my favorite play is probably Cursed Child of all the Harry Potter plays. Top 3.
We have a lot of choices in plays right now, so.
On his list of top one Harry Potter
musical.
plays.
That's a good one.
That's a good one too.
For your short films that you said you were doing, I was wondering, are we going to see Hagrid?
For the radio play, I don't know, I haven't written him in yet, but it is about the entire Order of the Phoenix, so it's only fair. Yeah, totally.
I thought he might, since he is pretty darn old.
Oh
You
yeah,
made it happen just now.
I'm interested in getting into characters that we've just barely ever heard of, and and Hagrid and Dumbledore and the main characters that were integral parts of the Order of the Phoenix, I can't ignore them. But I really want to try. I want to focus on some more Death Eaters and some lesser-known Order of the Phoenix members. There was a brother and his sister on the Weasley side that has a lot of fans think had influence on the Weasley twins. So things like that. Lots of smaller characters that have little nuances that I can build into characters of my own. Non-canon, of course.
We are loving all these Fionas. This is awesome.
Quick question. I was just wondering why Voldemort looks the way he looks.
Yes! Here we go. Round one.
You started this. So
Fight.
much panel.
Oh my God. We get this
we've only
question
gotten
all
to
the
a few
time.
after the film came out, and we were amazed nobody dared to ask us that in person. So thank you.
We have like 200 comments on YouTube, and there is a perfectly good reason why
And
he
I
looks
am
that way. And
so-
Mick, take it away.
So ready for this one. Oh God, am I ready for this one? So the number one complaint we've been getting on YouTube are people saying that Voldemort is not supposed to look the way he does at the end of the film, which is extremely confusing to me because everyone seems to have read this portion of a chapter that doesn't exist, which is talking about the fact that Voldemort looks the way he does because he killed Harry's parents or because the resurrection went wrong. None of that is in the books. Like, the only thing in the books that talks about why Voldemort looks the way he does is because he was creating Horcruxes, and every single time he was experimenting with dark magic, he got worse and worse and worse. The one thing for sure is that he wouldn't look handsome. At about 20, 30 years before that scene takes place, we read about a scene in the books where he meets with Dumbledore, and it specifically mentioned how his looks went completely downhill. He started losing his hair, his skin started getting pasty, his eyes started getting bloodshot. Like, he was already in terrible shape because of the dark magic he was using. He hadn't created nearly that many Horcruxes yet, and hadn't nearly done that much dark magic yet. So that's how bad he looked then after just a few years. This is 20, 30 years after that. So much, much worse. And it's even described at one point that a child saw Voldemort on his way to kill Harry's parents before then, and it was Halloween, and he was terrified of his face, like absolutely horrified. So everything in the books, as we're looking at it, points to him looking the way he does during his resurrection they did before. When he's actually resurrected, none of the Death Eaters mention that he looked different. Peter Pettigrew isn't punished horribly for messing up the potion, which you have to imagine, like, if Peter messed up and Voldemort's just like, what did you do to my face? Like, someone's probably getting cut. I'm just saying.
In fairness, he had just been cut.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like there's this whole theory about, like, people experiencing multiverses where everyone has a memory of something from the books, like the Berenstain Bears are actually the Berenstain Bears and stuff like that. In this case, there's another universe where there's a whole chapter that talks about how he didn't look that way, and everyone experienced that but me.
And the other thing is that two things. One, Mick and I had a long discussion about this because there is no concrete explanation as to what he looked like before he was resurrected. There is an enormous amount of evidence that supports us going with that direction, including the fact that he had red eyes in the books and he had blue eyes in the films, and we wanted to make sure we did pay homage to that. But we didn't want to show him 100% fully transformed, so I could have digitally flattened his nose, and we kept the crest just to show that he's 75, 80% there. So also, if it was just a handsome young guy, first of all, that's literally wrong. But also, the people who aren't hardcore Harry Potter fans would be like, who is that? You know who? Okay. Even if he had a deformed face. It was important that he at least looked somewhat recognizable for the sake of the story, but there's an enormous amount of evidence to support that he absolutely looked that way. Cool. And thank you so much for asking that. You made Mick so happy.
Sorry, I've been waiting for somebody to ask that question during a convention so hard. Hi.
You're on board.
I am on. Oh, wonderful. Easy question, but a hard question. What was your favorite memory on set? Or
Awesome.
during production?
You guys go ahead.
Justin freaking out on set because it was raining. My favorite memory is watching Justin freak out. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, like, once the fight choreography in the forest started coming together and we're all standing there, we have this amazing crew surrounding us that just, was doing a killer job. The fog machine's going. We had the markers placed for the digital effects people starting to throw it in. At that point, like, I think it hit me like a ton of bricks that this is going to be amazing. Like, there was just this moment where we're just standing there and like looking over this exterior set that looks incredible. And, we all got into this because these are the sort of movies that we want to make. And that really, really hit me at that point as we're standing there just looking at this, and it's like, we are making the movie, we're making our dream film. We're making the film that we all got into this to make, and that was incredible.
So not to rush you guys, but at the 4-minute mark, I want to show one more video. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, go for it, Liana.
I just want to answer real quick. Sorry, Kevin. For me, it was actually watching Clayton, who played Voldemort, get into character, and filming that scene when he does the reveal of you-know-who. Like, everyone on set that day just stopped what they were doing and stood and watched that whole scene because it was just like goosebump inducing. It was amazing.
My favorite part of being on set, seriously? My favorite part of being on set was the day that we shot in the bar with the boys around the table. They were talking and everything was going on. All of the extras that we had there were legit Harry Potter fans. And so I showed up to set that day and everybody was in costume, everybody was in makeup, and it was fans that brought their own stuff. It was people that were diehard committed to the series, that were committed to us, and that wanted to be a part of something super, super cool. So that to me really kind of lit the fire of, holy crap, we're doing something that's not just us, like it's beyond us. It's fans from around Los Angeles, which I mean, it's kind of a big place. So it was a really cool seed.
I'm piggybacking off of this one because you took my answer. I have two, so I'm gonna give you both. The first day, both sets, like I was blown away by how professional everything was and all of the support that we were getting from the people just and working their hardest and their best. But for me, it was showing up and finding these extras because it's 8 or 12. It was 12, right? Yeah. 12 of them showed up and they're friends of mine, including my girlfriend who told me, I have to work today, I'm so sorry I can't be there. And I was so disappointed because she's like one of my biggest Harry Potter influences. And I was like, if anybody should be there, it should be her. So like, I get in a costume, I come out of the bathroom, I turn the corner, and all of my Harry Potter friends are there with her. They were all dressed up in their wizard robes, and I just was like I just fell apart in the best way. So that's probably the greatest moment I ever had in like film. The second one, and I want to say it because this was awesome. It's raining on set. We're all crammed inside of a 3-room tent. I'm talking about.
Great, go.
Okay. It's raining, it's dark, we're like, everyone's crammed in there. Catering, makeup, costuming, all of the actors, anybody who did not have to be out working at that moment. And
I told them ahead of time.
The makeup artists had to paint James's face and get it ready for camera and then do some blood stuff, and they had to paint on Remus's scars. They were doing it by cell phone light. Garrett Schweighauser was holding up his phone to light Paul Stanko's face. Paul was holding it to light up Garrett's face. And these amazingly talented makeup artists were doing it in the dark, more or less, while it was raining. Like, the dedication of this crew was incredible. So that.
The opposite side of the dedication on that same night at roughly the same moment, while it was raining and the cast was all stuck in one tiny little tent, we had the best just like bonding moment when we were like sharing YouTube videos. It was between takes because it was just raining too hard to do anything. Justin was outside freaking out. But the whole cast, like, together, we just kind of had, like, a wonderful, like, melting time just sharing our experiences as actors together. And that's one of my favorite moments of the whole time on set.
And I have, I'm going to compartmentalize as fast as I can. When we were in the bar and first take came up and you see that wide shot of them talking with the smoke and the lighting, it looked like the Wizarding World. I was like, oh my God, we're in it. This is so cool. All the people were in costumes. The person who was supposed to bring in wardrobe didn't need to clothe any of the extras because they brought their own costumes. And so that's the first one. The second one is when I showed these guys the film for the very first time, which you can actually watch on YouTube with the channel. It's the reaction video. That was the most satisfying moment of my life because it was 2 years of really hard work, and these guys just loved the film, and I was so happy. And the last one is we showed the film at a premiere in LA, and we did a double screening. It was double booked, and the first screening, when it was over, had a standing ovation. And I got to stand in front of a standing ovation, and I've never gotten to felt that before, and it was an amazing feeling. Thank you guys so much.